as he started in high school. He's actually on, whoops, what happened? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I was late to hit the record button. We're going now, though.
Okay. All right. Got it. So my name is Dan Babcock. Welcome, everybody, to Launchpad. It's I believe, our 13th year of doing this. We started in Kirkwood in our conference room with a few schools 13 years ago, and now we've got over 15 schools working in the Broome-Tioga-Boces along with some others. So we're going to be talking to you about mentoring. And Kevin Blake's on the phone. Michael Herstig's on the phone, Jennifer Wilson, Michelle Armstrong. These are all key components of making Launchpad work in the Greater Binghamton area. So our whole intent here is to give people who are in high school a different view of business and let them realize that when they're at the dining room table or they're listening to the people that they live with talk about the world, that they have an opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And whether they actually have the ideas or they work with entrepreneurs to create ideas, that actually being an entrepreneur is fun and something they can do literally now. So it's an alternative to learning. It's not driven around the classroom as much. A lot of our programs are actually clubs. They're teachers who give their extra time. Broome-Tioga-Boces has done a great job promoting it through GBOP and through the Broome Chamber. So we're excited to have you on as a mentor. The mentor is the key. And we're just going to give you a couple of ingredients here. And the mentors who've been with us a long time will tell you. It comes down to the first month and a half. It's really the ideation. So as a mentor, as you start to work with your teachers or your assigned clubs within your student group, the whole idea is to get students thinking. And they always come in with the traditional, I'm going to make a better car wash, or I'm going to make a better cupcake, or I'm going to make a better food ingredient. And that's great. They're creating ideas. But what we're looking for is to give kids a different view, a different way of looking at the world. And that's where mentors come in, right? A great mentor in your life is somebody who lets you see something maybe from a different angle. At the same time, if somebody's got passion around an idea, even if you don't think it's going to win or it's not the right, quite time for that, I have let the teams go on ideas that I thought were a little bit far-fetched, because ultimately we're not here to build a real business. We're here to give people some DNA around growing a business or working within an entrepreneurial setting. So we're glad you're here. If you know of anyone else who wants to be a mentor, the mentor is absolutely a critical ingredient, because the teachers today are overwhelmed. They've got so much going on. And a lot of this, now that it's virtual, we can extend a mentoring program way beyond when, Jen Wilson first started this up, and Kevin, we'd run all around the communities in January, getting these 42-minute classes stood up. We can now do everything virtually, and the kids are really good at being on Zoom and being online. So it's a lot easier to be a mentor than it used to be. So if you know someone, and then once the idea is generated and your kids start improving their concepts and building their business plan, feel free to reach back out to Michael and the team, because we've got money set aside for prototypes. We've got the ability to build out mentors for specific manufacturing or finance or banking or legal. So we want you to think about yourself as more of a team captain, where you're helping your students introduce their idea to other mentors. So it's kind of a network. And our goal is that once you become a mentor in this program, maybe it's something that you can help facilitate the idea or the student team forever. So we're here. We don't have any rules per se. Our goal is to be respectful to the teacher. We all work for the teachers. We all work for the schools. This program wouldn't work without the teachers and the schools working with us. So it's kind of like a three-legged stool, right? The mentors, the Launchpad team, and then the Broome-Tioga-Boces system. So we're all here together, and we're thrilled. And I'm going to turn it back over to Maureen.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan. Just want to keep going with introductions here. I'm going to turn it over next to Jen.
Morning, guys. My name is Jen Wilson. I have worked for Dan in some capacity for the last 14 years, and this is Launchpad's 13th season. So in some capacity, I've been involved in Launchpad since the beginning, though a handful of years ago, as I became a mom for the first time, something just, lit a fire in me. And I realized how critically important this program was. And I became a little bit probably scarily obsessed. And Michelle, Michael, and now Maureen and I work behind the scenes facilitating the program from wherever we are, and absolutely just continue to become more and more excited about what it is that we're seeing out in the community. Now that I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, it is critically important to me that this program continues forever, especially since I am not an entrepreneur at heart. I am a supporter at heart. I am great at being behind the scenes and helping, facilitate all of these wonderful ideas. So it's really important to me that we provide a foundation for support for the students who can go out and make a great difference in the world. So I'm really excited to be here. And Jason and Cole, thank you so much for joining. I remember last year we had a fantastic conversation about how we could potentially expand into some PA schools based on some of the connections that you have. And I really hope we can continue that conversation this year.
Well, speaking of Jason and Cole, let's turn it over to you guys. Jason, I haven't had a chance to meet you at all. I'll put you on the spot first.
Well, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Jason Ball, and I'm with Arctic Bear. Yeah, we got to do this last year, and it was fun. It was just, the kids were they were engaged all the way through. It was just shocking every week. Just, they were asking questions, and I don't know, it was fun teaching them how to go in front of a bank and, well, lie about yourself a bit, get that money. I had a good time with them. So no, we're anxious to get going. And yes, we have a great contact for the northern tier of Pennsylvania, and she handles, I think, all the way down to Abington Heights and Scranton, all the way over to Mansfield and out through Forest City. So she's got Montrose, Mountain View, Blue Ridge, Elk Lake. She got all those border schools. And it would be great to see them get involved in this. But you guys have done a great job with this. It's just fun. So we're glad to be back.
Awesome. And Cole, I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going?
I know. How are you, Maureen?
Good, you?
I'm well, thanks. So I'm Cole Harrington. I feel like I've met all of you in some capacity at some point over the past 15 years of my life, but I am the operations manager at Arctic Bear. And yeah, it was just, I had a great time last year. It was, it's interesting because Jason and I have different styles. So I think the two of us in the classroom, kind of Jason working more on the ideation and then me kind of helping with more of like the critical aspect. I think both sides, it worked out very well as a team. So we are looking forward to this again. And yeah, I mean, I've been a serial entrepreneur in some form since I was 18. So it's just fun to see the spark in some of these kids and you know, how passionate they do get about their ideas and also, you know, how willing they are to defend them at times. So it's a fun program and we're looking forward to helping out again this year.
Awesome. We also got Kevin Blake with us, but I know he said someone just popped in his office. So when he jumps back on, we'll let him introduce himself as well too. But let's kind of dive in. I know you guys were part of the program last year, and before we kind of get talking about the next year, I just had to recognize and thank you guys, because we all know 2021 was unprecedented to say the least, and Launchpad was no exception as to being impacted by COVID. But despite the challenges and the restrictions to meeting with schools, Launchpad really continued and was able to adapt and offer students a really unique opportunity in a time that they needed it, to be able to develop some innovative ideas. And the guidance and support you offered last year was probably the most important time for those students to be able to continue that. So thank you so much for taking the time out of a crazy year to be able to continue with this program. So in 2020, we began recognizing a mentor who goes above and beyond, which is very difficult because every mentor goes above and beyond and volunteers their time to be able to support students in our community. But this past year, we were really proud to recognize Mark Yanati as our 2020-2021 Mentor of the Year. Mark served as the mentor to 2 different school districts, was very committed to all of his students, and that was evident in the work that those students produced. And you can see here what are some of the things we were looking for when recognizing the Mentor of the Year: their excellence in performance, the quality of time spent with the students, the adversity and overcoming the challenges, and really inspiring students, showing them how they can turn things into opportunities, and being dedicated to the advancement of the Launchpad program. I know Mark was helping us recruit judges at the last minute too, so we just really appreciate everything that Mark did for us last year. All right, mentor role. So mentors are what makes this program possible. Without the mentors, there really is no Launchpad. So the role for our mentor is really to be offering that guidance, imparting the real life experiences that are going to help students reshape their views on what's possible. Trying to think back, I don't really remember myself at 18, but I know I didn't have the confidence and the support needed to be able to think that you have an idea. I think the school system really teaches students that they need to regurgitate information instead of empowering students. And Launchpad really helps to transition to allow students to see themselves and the power that they have and that their ideas have. And the mentors are really who help support that. So helping students with the ideation phase. I was speaking with Kevin Blake one day, and he really helped me understand this phase. You know, it's going through, it's a long-term investment with students, having them trying to identify what are the challenges that I experience in my day-to-day life, or what are the opportunities that I have to make day-to-day life better, make other people's lives better. And then once I have an idea, what's the solution that I can then create myself? And how do I turn that solution into a product or a service and be able to market it? So as Dan said, that's really kind of the bulk of it. That's the long-term phase, is coming up with that idea and the process behind developing an idea. Once they have their product in place or their service in place, they're going to be starting their business plan, their elevator pitch, their presentations. I have no entrepreneurial spirit. I love it. I admire it, but it's just not something I have personally. I'm also a supporter. And so I'm not going to pretend to know how complicated it is to do all of those things, which is why I'm not a mentor and you guys are. But again, thinking for a student who's never gone through this, it's a complex process, I'm imagining. And so you guys know really what kind of goes into those complexities of being a business owner. And so kind of helping guide them, and just being there to even answer questions that come up to students is really important. As Dan said, this is really about constructive feedback, supporting students. This may not be the brilliant idea the first time, but once they learn the process, that next idea really could be the next brilliant idea. And to be able to have kind of a stake in what helped them get started is such an exciting opportunity. Just to reiterate, the role is really not about completing any of the project for the students. They should be doing all the work themselves. It's really just about that guidance process and leading them through everything. I'm going to dive next into the expectations, what you guys can expect of the Launchpad team. Like Dan said, we're really like that three-pronged chair. But before I dive into that, are there any questions about the mentor role? All right. Let's keep going then. So what can mentors be able to expect from the Launchpad team? When you guys complete your mentor registration form, you are able to indicate a school district preference on that form. We'll be able to pair you then with the school district. And one of the things that I have as my goal this year is really to try and limit the number of teams that each mentor is working with. So I'm hoping we get more mentors this year so that you can work more closely with your teams. I'd really love to see it that each mentor has no more than 4 teams that they're really working with. But if you are like, give me all the teams, put that on the registration form. We will pair you with as many as you want. But just want to be respectful of everyone's time because I know how busy everyone is. And then in terms of the time commitment, mentors, we're hoping are able to commit at least 30 minutes a team, especially at that beginning, because that ideation phase, again, can be so time consuming of how do I do this process. So in the beginning, initially, that time might be spent in the classroom or beaming in via Zoom with your students to really kind of talk them through that process. But as we get closer to competition, it might be more looking at their business plan, reviewing their documents, responding to emails with those questions that hit them at 2 a.m. that they just had to shoot off to you about their business plan. So less of the in-person, but probably more of that email or other communications. And speaking of communication, what does that look like, right? Students are going to come up with questions for you. And as I said, it might spark them at 2 a.m. as they're waking up and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to think of this for my business plan. And so we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to communicate with the students. What's the best way that they can communicate with you? Is it via email? Is it via another platform? What are the appropriate times to be communicating with you? And let us know how we can support that communication pathway with the students. Another expectation, of course, is that mentors are abiding by the code of conduct for the schools. And so one of the things that I want to start doing this year is, as we onboard mentors and pair them with our advisors, is setting up a Zoom meeting, because Zoom gives us tons of opportunities to be able to connect with each other and make sure that the advisor is able to share with you, what are the school's policies for visitors? Is there specific visitor parking that you need to be aware of? Sign-ins, are there opportunities where they can streamline the sign-in process for you, where they can let the office know ahead of time when you're going to be coming? Another big thing is, I'm always amazed how parents are able to work, because I feel like the schools have holidays or half days like every other day. So I want to make sure that the advisor is communicating that with you, what could be coming up that's going to impact your schedule when you're meeting with the students. So I think that initial meeting, just making sure that everyone's on the same page, is something that's going to be really helpful for our mentors and our advisors to solidify that relationship this year. And really, we're just here for the mentors. Again, as Jen and I both said, we're supporters, we're behind the scenes. You guys are really kind of the icing on this cake, or you're what makes it work. So we just want to be able to be here and support everyone. So let's dive in. What's this year going to look like? It's a pretty similar schedule to last year. We recently just had the kickoff and started getting students signing up, and really excited now to be able to open the registration for our mentors. We're going to be doing ongoing pairing of advisors and mentors, and we're hoping to have all of our schools registered by February 4th for the Launchpad 2022. Again, Zoom gives us opportunities. We found that the virtual workshops were a really great way to supplement what the mentors are providing to students and offer something to all of our school districts. So we really want to continue those virtual workshops. April, May, having some deadlines for the project submissions. And then we actually had just changed it. So I apologize, I didn't have this slide reflecting it, but final competition day, save the date, we're looking at Tuesday, May 24th. That's some feedback we got from the teachers that better aligns with their calendar. And we're looking at hosting this year at SUNY Broome Community College. So what is that final competition going to look like? Potentially having a hybrid event. So we really find that there's an in-person energy that, as cheery as I can be at 8 in the morning with my caffeine, it's just not the same as in person. So we want to bring back that in-person component, but we do recognize it's a crazy world. Who knows where schools will be? So we do want to have some hybrid, some flexibility, where potentially we could have schools that need to participate virtually, have virtual judging where they're in the Zoom room, but where we can really live stream all the other components so that they can still feel part of the programs. As a mentor, you don't have to attend the live competition. Maybe you are going to unfortunately be out of town. Virtual can be a great opportunity to be there and kind of cheer your team on, even if you're not in the area. And what we want the day to look like is similar to the past. It seems like there's a really good structure that's worked well. So kicking things off with a really engaging speaker, having the opportunity for students to be able to present their ideas at the trade booth, where they have their expos kind of set up and start thinking about how they really pitch their product to potential consumers, investors, having the students present with their categories to the judges, allowing our judges to somehow determine category winners from all the amazing ideas. And then again, we had a really great keynote speaker last year. Eddie Thomason spoke, and MMC graciously got every student who participated in Launchpad one of his books. And so if you guys have suggestions, because I know our mentors have amazing networks, let us know any keynote speakers that you might have in mind. And while the keynote speaker is inspiring everyone, our judges are going to be in the back convening, trying to determine our overall category winners. So speaking of our category winners, I would be remiss if I didn't take an opportunity to just kind of highlight our student scholarships really quickly. Again, thanks to the generous support of MMC, over the past 13 years, they've been able to provide students with scholarships. So recognizing their great ideas, but then also giving the encouragement through financial support to continue those ideas. And if your company is interested, we are now accepting Launchpad sponsors. We kind of started to pilot this last year and we did see some initial support. And so we're just reaching out to our businesses to see who is interested in having their name also associated with Launchpad, supporting these students and these up and coming entrepreneurs. So if you're at all interested in having contributing to the scholarship fund, just reach out to me at GBOP and I can get you set up with more information. So the last piece, registration. I am hoping that you are all super excited now. You already seem to come in pretty excited, so you didn't really make much work for me, but I'm hoping you're even more excited for the Launchpad 2022 program and competition. As I mentioned, registration is open. I'm going to throw this link in the chat so that you can hopefully register as soon as possible. But before I throw it in there, are there any questions that the team can answer for you guys? Nothing.